Our upcoming discussion, Your Next Wallet is You, Future of Digital Payments. The changing landscape of payment authentication, digital payments through biometric identification for a cash-free world. How biometric technology is enhancing the ease and security of digital payments.
Biometric, ladies and gentlemen, thank you everyone for listening. I would love to start about our amazing discussion for today. We can see that the biometric is talking about our human physical things, so eye, hands, voice. So these kind of things is really a big layer of security that no one can manipulate. We can say that the accuracy is very high. We're looking forward to know more about the details. What would you have right now? What's the future? What are we expecting in the future? So I'll start my immediate question with Dr. as an immediate. We're seeing that amazing thing happening in the biometrics. We're talking about payments and financial. What we are going to and where we are right now.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning. My name is Ahmed Darwish. I am the head of digital delivery in Bank Al Bilad. For the question that about digital payments and how we are moving and progressing in terms of security, as you know that we all now prefer to pay using Apple Pay and these kind of technologies. Even cards, now they are proposing and introducing a new cards with fingerprint. So they are trying to simulate what Apple Pay, Samsung and Huawei is doing today. We all prefer to have this kind of security to make sure that nobody can make any fraud to our cards or payments, especially after the increase of fraud cases. As Omar shown that 5.8 billion US dollar was the fraud cases last year. So we all are afraid of this kind of identity theft, especially for cards and payments. With the COVID-19 and the change that we had during the last couple of years, we all now prefer to pay with contactless. The limit of the transaction now with the Apple Pay and these kind of things is unlimited. So if anyone can install your fingerprint or Face ID by a way or another, he can start using your Apple Pay wallet or your even other identities to transact, which is very high risk, especially with unlimited transaction. So, or especially the value of the transaction. So this is now increasing the need for more a way of secured authentication, not only using your fingerprint or Face ID or iris, it's also dynamics. So your movement, your way of entering the data, the way that you are moving the cursor on the PC or moving a face on front of the camera. So all these kind of dynamics now is increasing the security of digital payments. Kafrina?
We'll take it from here, thank you, and I appreciate about the contact list that people now minimize themselves to verify the transaction is happening. We're going to go a little bit back to the previous year. We're using our fingerprint to verify you with the ink, so we can use in the paper. Right now it's just a reader scanner, so we can verify that that's you. I will go to Catherine. I would love to see what is going on for the current place. I mean, for the POS, we start using our touches and we can use the phones to do POS as well. I would love to know that what option is biometric is giving us that we can do these kind of transactions.
So, hello everyone, very nice to be here. So first of all, contextually, referring to my colleague here, Mohammed, just for everyone to know that if we look overall on payments, today, with the pandemic, payments have moved from a level out here in the Middle East, for example. I was with a processor yesterday. Over 50% of the transactions in Saudi Arabia are actually doing electronically thanks to Apple Pay. So it's a very high level, right? But it's only one brand. We know that consumers are looking for convenience and security, as Mohammed is saying. There has been an increase of, I would say, fraud, not only primarily on fraud at point of sales, but significant fraud increases in e-com, which mandates customers to say, I want to have the same experience, regardless if it's in a store or if I do my e-com transactions. Now, consumers are concerned, and I thought it was an excellent presentation earlier with regards to facial, because there are dimensions that are complicated, and if you look at the technology behind biometrics fingerprints, the security level of a PIN code is 1 to 10,000. If you elevate that to use your fingerprint, which is stored offline on your card, the anti-spoofing level is 1 to 30,000. So it's 3 times more secure to use your fingerprint. So that's on the security level. The other thing we see with introducing fingerprints on payment cards is that there is no change to the infrastructure. So any terminal will function exactly the same way, because the way the transaction is processed, it's under the same protocol. So everyone has been through when we went into contactless and we had to upgrade all the terminals. This is not the case. We're using the same technique, the same protocols. The only thing that changes is that the cards are equipped with a security feature offline, so the consumer is protected with its identity, and it identifies itself with a fingerprint. No need for limits anymore. You can do an unlimited amount of contactless transactions. And also the limit, since it's a 1-to-1, 100 authentication, it means that you can clear a payment up to any amount. So when we've done customer studies, both in America, in Europe, and out here, we see consumers are being concerned about 3 things when it comes to POS. So one is they don't want to leave their card with someone else. They're also, with the pandemic, concerned with the hygiene factor, plus there is an inconvenience with PIN. So those 3 factors together are leading consumers that they are extremely positive to biometrics. And if we see where has it been launched so far, so the Nordics is a region that's very, very advanced. So several programs have been launched, and I have my colleague Cyril Ganem out here who can show you the card, what it looks like and what it works. We have a POS with us. But more importantly, the Middle East is the region where biometrics is taking off at a very high pace. And I think there are 2 regions. This region is very much of a leapfrogging innovative culture. So the countries here both have banks who are interested in driving consumer experience. So we are in contact ourselves with, I would say, a high number of banks who are actually looking at putting biometrics on their top portfolios. And the key segments that these biometric cards are focused on, primarily, of course, the starting point would be affluent, so your top portfolios. The second one are corporate cards. So many of you know that when people are traveling abroad, cross-border, there is a high level of fraud happening when the cards are presented outside of the Middle East. So that's the second segment. The third segment is visually impaired. So people who have different type of disabilities is the third segment that's being envisioned. And I'll come back to the other segments afterwards.
I believe so. That was really insight and amazing deep information. I would think that it is going to elaborate the infrastructure to be more agility using the cloud as well. I think the machine learning and AI will have a good insight about these kind of things. Going to engineer Muhammad, going virtually, I would love your kindly insight. We can see that the know your customer, the customer journey, it will be impacted due to the biometrics happening. What we are expecting for the future, how easy the customer will join the services of the financial industries?
To maybe talk about convenience versus risks. And I think that, biometrics play a very big role here to make sure that we're able really to give our customer a convenience, and at the same time we're able to manage risk. Now in financial services, we're moving into what we call embedded finance, or embedded payment, or you can call it embedded. Everything will be embedded. So which means that the seamless journey will happen from the time you initiate a transaction, it's finished, and you might not even feel about it, the same way with your face recognition now over the phone, you do a payment, it open another app, so on, so in a few minutes, everything will happen. So the issue here is like as the same in this journey as well, we need to make sure that the biometrics are really as well by itself is well protected. And I think we were discussing something before about the use of blockchain in biometrics. or having a decentralized network as well, where biometrics will be saved, the digital identity. So then in such a case, you make sure that your data as well is protected, because when you come to biometric and face recognition and so on, the privacy come in place. So people, they worry about their privacy and so on, and the usage of, of their data, of their information, of movement around and so on. As we all know that, Apple and everybody or Google knows about you more than anyone else. So in these cases, it's very important that we manage the convenience, we balance the convenience with risks. And what I can see that everything is going to be embedded, easy, fast, and at the same time, we give the assurance to our customer that their data is protected, and they are the one really, they are owning their data, their biometric, their information, and so on. They are the owner of this data, and it's at their fingertips. This is what I could see will happen. I think it's happening already. It's a convenience.
We believe so too. We believe so. I think also it's going to be impacted more when going to the BOS, and people will start seamlessly doing the payments without moving even their phones. So we can see nowadays it's more modern.
What will pay by face? Yes. This is a use case. I hope that you hear me. It's pay by face. Now we have this happening in Europe and some other places, and we have the companies coming to the Middle East. I've been talking to some of these companies. You can say pay by face. You go there to any coffee shop, show your face, payment done. Or you can blink with one eye, blink with other eye, or with one hand, the other hand. So everything will be done without having a card or a mobile even. And I think this is what the use cases are there. There is some kind of application happening, but I think this should be rolled out maybe in a massive scale soon.
It is. Focusing only on the financial industry, we can see that the BOS is using right now more agility to doing the transaction across all the merchants. So going just a step ahead for the financial, we're trying to make an AB and IBA, acquire bank and Israel bank, do a small financial transaction by the authentication. It could be by cards, could be information, but we're focusing a little bit about the biometrics, and a little bit people worry about the ability that it could be manipulated. So is the biometric easy to be manipulated? Like, for example, switching my phone, switching my faces on the face identification. Is it that possible that I can manipulate the fingerprint using wax or using any other tools? Is that possible, Doctor?
Yes, it is, and it is really risky. And I remember that one day there was a speaker. She was speaking in one of the public events, and somebody with a very high resolution camera, he was able to capture her fingerprint while she was just speaking like that, and he simulated her fingerprint and start really making fraud cases, and he just was showing up that the capability is there. So it is true that there are some possibilities that even the static fingerprint or face ID could be manipulated. However, with the new technology of dynamics and keeping the, let's say, the vein also recognition behind the finger itself, and maybe the hands as well. So the veins, when you are omitting some infrared onto the hand, the veins can absorb more infrared, let's say, radiation from the surrounding tissue. So at the end of the day, the vein will respond accurately. So that's why today we have seen a lot of biometric finger scanners or these iris scanners are using the vital signs, not only the static fingerprint or the face ID. So those are making it more secure. As Mohammed just mentioned, that it's not only convenient but also secured. So this is the trade-off that we are looking for when we are talking about special case of use cases of payments in the digital industry.